Despite hawkish rhetoric from politicians, European businesses are taking a more cautious approach, warning that EU itself has plenty to lose from sanctions. Now, Russia is the European Union's third largest trade partner. Nearly half of the cars made in the EU end up in Russia, as does 18% of the bloc's chemical production. Plus, European consumers get 1/3 of their natural gas supplies from Gazprom. And then there's a huge profits from food exports to Moscow. But that's only half of the story. Russia's contribution to the global economy as a whole is not to be underestimated. Take metals, for instance. 20% of the world's titanium comes from Russia, a metal used in industries from aviation to jewelry. And nearly half of the world's palladium, which makes your car greener, is mined in Russia. Then there's a massive Russian contribution to platinum, diamonds, and many other minerals. So any disruption in the supply of those commodities is bound to reverberate across the global economy. Now, the EU and the US have refused to accept the results of the independence vote in Crimea, claiming the ballot was unconstitutional and orchestrated by Russia. For more, we're now joined live by Gerald Celente, who is a publisher of Trend Journal, who joins us live. Thank you very much, sir. You're live on RT International. Now, are these sanctions against Russia retribution pure and simple, or is there more to them?
I think the word sanctions is the wrong word. They really